Hey friends, welcome back to A Scene Rose Tarot. If you're joining me again, I'm really happy that you're here. I'm excited to bring you another reading today. So I'm on to my second pick a card, and I decided that I think I've kind of an interesting topic this time around. I thought I would go with archetypes. We'd have like a discussion of archetypes and what light archetypes and what shadow archetypes you're currently embodying, how you're working with these archetypes in your life, how you're integrating them, and how they're, helping you along on your spiritual journey. So I have 4 piles today: pile 1, pile 2, pile 3, and pile 4. And each pile has a different piece of jewelry, specifically an earring on it. So I thought you could maybe look at the earrings and figure out which one calls to you the most, and I'll kind of bring them up closer to the camera so you can take a look at them. So on pile 1, we have this kind of this rhinestone and pearl earring with the little danglies right here. Pile 2, we have a little ballet slipper earring with a red rhinestone. You can see that. Pile 3, we have a blue tassel earring with some sparklies at the top. And for pile 4, we actually have this little Japanese crane earring. If you can see this little origami crane. All right, so those are our 4 piles. And yeah, I'll give you a couple seconds to kind of look and kind of feel which one you vibe with, and then we'll move right into pile 1. Hey pile 1, if you chose the pearl and rhinestone earring with the little danglies, this is your archetypes reading to learn about what archetypes you're currently embodying and working with, both light and shadow. So originally I was going to flip over one archetype at a time, but I realized as I was starting to do it that it makes sense to kind of have them both out at the same time so I can get more of a full picture of what's going on. So to kind of start out, the 2 archetypes that you're working with, the shadow archetype here we have is the hermit, which has this sort of this energy or this connotation of withdrawing from society out of fear or negative judgments of others, refusing to help those in need. And then your light archetype is child magical, with the light attributes of seeing the potential for sacred beauty in all things and the belief that everything is possible. All right, so looking at these 2 cards or these 2 energies, and then also looking at additional cards that I pulled as clarifiers from the Golden Art Nouveau tarot deck and from the Osho Zen tarot deck. I kind of see what's happening here as you've really boxed yourself in with this hermit energy. You've boxed yourself in, and you're currently not sharing your light with the world, which is kind of interesting in how these 2 ideas connect. So withdrawing from society out of fear or negative judgments of others and refusing to help those in need. And when I say refusing to help those in need, it's not so much that you're refusing, quote unquote, out of being uncompassionate, but more that you have a light that you could share with the world. You have a creative gift. You have an expression or a certain set of personality traits that are uniquely yours and that are beautiful and divinely gifted. And there are people in this world who need them right now, and you're not sharing them because you're afraid of negative judgments and of repercussions that might come upon you if you decided to essentially kind of be your true self. And what I'm also particularly drawn to that kind of supports this message is here on the bottom row. We have both the card of sharing from the Osho Zen Tarot, as well as Thunderbolt in these 2 kind of opposing piles. And it's almost like, with this child magical, this is an inner child energy. This is the energy that you probably embodied as a child when you really believed that everything was possible for you. You probably had a big dream, perhaps related to a certain type of artistic talent or creative gift, or really any kind of ambition, but just something that would have really been your truest expression. You believed in being a certain type of person, or who knows, it could even be wearing certain types of clothes, or just appearing a certain way, acting a certain way, really expressing your truest self. And I'm kind of getting the impression that at some point, with this Thunderbolt card, it's almost like I'm hearing like someone shot you out of the sky. It's like, you were going about your business, being your truest self, saying something or acting in such a way that you truly believed in, creating in the way that most fulfilled you. Perhaps, you drew a certain type of painting, or started working on a certain type of music, became interested in a certain type of music, or wanted to act or dance or whatever the case may be. Very much in touch with your inner child. I'm getting that this happened at a young age, and someone told you, someone made fun of you, or disparaged your expression in a way that really cut you to the core, like in a way that almost kind of traumatized you. Because again, we have this Thunderbolt card and these people kind of falling down from the sky. And I think, what your guides want you to know is that this idea, whoever it was that did this to you, were projecting their own fears and insecurities onto you, right? They were, projecting perhaps even their own jealousy or their own lack of belief in themselves, and their own need to cut, needing to feeling like they need to cut other people down in order to feel like they're okay, because they can't see anyone else succeed, because they feel like they're never going to succeed. I don't know if you've ever heard of the sort of the idea of tall poppy syndrome. Whenever other people, or like the crabs in a barrel thing, whenever people who don't have a very good sense of self-esteem see others succeeding or see others believing in themselves, they feel the need to cut them down, because they feel that they can never achieve that level of success or that level of kind of ingenuity. And I mean, here with these three cards, you see we have the Magician, the Six of Wands, and the Eight of Wands, which to me, I mean, this tells a very clear story and is a very clear energy of just massive self-confidence, believing in yourself, believing that you can do anything and that anything is possible for you, and that it can come to you quickly, that it can come to you with ease, within reason, but just really believing that the sky is the limit, and having kind of been cut down at a time when you were still kind of potentially innocent and vulnerable, and then kind of losing this, this sort of magical child quality about you. So this is something that your guides and spirit is highlighting for you right now, saying that like this magical child is still very much in you and very much a part of you. And what's kind of interesting is like we have the Lovers here contrasted with projection, and it's like, I think what they want to point out is again that it's almost like you here we have two instances of two faces kind of turning to sort of gaze into one another's eyes and to see each other. And it's almost like in this case, in the projections card, they're not really seeing each other clearly. They're seeing each other through the lens of their own fears and insecurities, which is how, oftentimes as we get older, especially, we do see other people as we develop more wounds and traumas and things that are getting in the way of us seeing clearly, and that creates certain reactions or reactionary behaviors that continue the cycle of hurt and pain. And then we have the Lovers, where it's almost like people are seeing each other through divine clarity. They're seeing the beauty of one another's souls, and seeing that that everyone has a divinely gifted soul and is a child of God, essentially. And they're wanting to point out to you that this person, whoever it was that cut you down, they were acting out of pain. And like each of you, both you and this person have beautiful souls and have divine gifts, but that the pain was getting in the way, and that they weren't seeing you clearly, and perhaps now this has caused you not to see yourself clearly, because you were hurt by their hurt, essentially. And they're saying that like all of these projections that they put onto you, that you've now put onto yourself, they're not real, that this divine vision, and that this vision that your higher self has for you and that spirit has for you is the true vision, right? When we see one another through the eyes of our higher selves, we see, only beauty and purity and truth. But when we are projecting our fears and our insecurities onto others, that's when we see the ugliness. So kind of with that out of the way, we move over to, once again, we get to this hermit energy, which is where this figure is kind of like in a house, they're shut away, they're kind of contracted and compacted, and you see almost like there's this like fire kind of coming from their heart, but like it's very stuck, like it's not shining out anywhere. They've really limited themselves. You get this feeling of just this like intense limitation, and the person obviously looks very sad. At least that's how I'm feeling the energy. Of course, with the light attribute of the hermit, sometimes we need that solitude, but here I'm really feeling that this person is locked away. And what's interesting here is I feel like potentially there are opportunities in your life. Again, we have the Ace of Pentacles, the Knight of Swords, and the Page of Pentacles. And I'm getting almost the feeling that, like, since you were taught that your truest self and your truest expression isn't okay, I'm almost feeling like there's like a career path or some kind of some kind of pathway for you in terms of your abundance or prosperity that's opened up. And that people, with this Knight of Swords, I'm really hearing and feeling that people are really encouraging you to take it. Like, people in your life are saying, hey, this is going to be such a stable pathway. This is going to bring you so much security. Potentially even, this is going to bring you acclaim, or you have the potential to become very good at what you're doing. Yeah, like there's this Ace of Pentacles and this Page of Pentacles, which, are cards with very similar energy. It's like you feel like you're being pushed to embark on this pathway that feels very kind of, I don't know if square is the right word, but just, again, potential for stability and security in the traditional terms. Perhaps it's a very conventional pathway in some way, shape, or form, but you're kind of in this hermit energy because deep in your heart that it's not really you. Like, this thing, this thing is representative of the you that you became after you kind of shut off your inner child. And of course, what we have here confirming that, we've got these three cards. We've got nothingness, compromise, and sharing. And I feel almost like it's like you feel like this sharing energy. This is the Queen of Wands card in this deck. This sharing energy, this warm energy, creative, passionate energy isn't welcome wherever you're going or, embarking on this pathway. And I'm seeing this compromise card where two people are kind of linked together in this way that doesn't feel so good. It's compromise. It's not really a win-win situation. It's where two people are kind of making themselves less in order to like stay in a certain situation. You're dimming your light. Again, I'm hearing dimming your light. See this candle here? And then this nothingness or no-thingness, as this card is called. I'm really feeling like kind of a numb energy. It's where you're in this kind of space of numbness because whatever it is that you're embarking on or being encouraged to embark on by people in your life, you feel this kind of momentum behind this pathway. It's not lighting you up, and like it possibly even, maybe it's like, I'm almost hearing that like maybe you're not even super aware of like why you feel this way. It could even be that you haven't even discovered or plumbed deep into the depths of why you feel the way you feel, like why you seem to have like lost kind of your joy in life, or lost your sense of purpose, or just happiness or sense of joy. It's like, I feel like almost like this sort of low-grade depression that's been persisting for a long time. And I mean, maybe you do know, maybe you are very aware of this, but it's almost like it's been going on for so long that you don't even know why it is that you feel this way. You know, there's just this kind of numbness and this sense that, like, even though things seem to be looking up in your life, you know, there are possibilities and opportunities, you still don't feel great. Like, everything feels kind of like gray, you know, kind of, you know, if you think about like the Wizard of Oz when they're in Kansas, it's like everything is very kind of gray and dull, and it's just like you've been in the black and white for so long that it's like you're not even sure how to get to this color anymore. And your guides are saying, you know, that the answer is to rediscover your creativity and whatever it is that you were doing before people told you that it was, you know, before people told you that it was impractical or stupid, or, you know, that however they disparaged your creativity or whatever it was that was giving you a sense of possibility or happiness or joy, you know, however it was that they disparaged you, whatever you were doing before people told you that what you were doing wasn't okay. I'm sorry that didn't come out so well. That was kind of needlessly complicated, but yeah, I mean, hopefully you understand kind of what I'm saying. Whatever it was that was lighting you up before you, you know, felt undermined in terms of your ability to be joyful, to be creative, to have this sense of innocence and this sort of seeing the sacred beauty in all things, right? Seeing the sacred beauty in all things. So that's what I have for you there. So kind of what we're going to do next is I had pulled some Moonology cards, one for the shadow and one for the light, and these are going to serve as advice in terms of sort of working on healing and resolving these energies. So with the shadow card, I had pulled Be Bold and Make the First Move, and with the light card, I had pulled Confidence is Your Key to Success. Okay, so right. So, I mean, again, this is very consistent, I think, with the message that we've been talking about. I mean, look here, with the light, we've got new moon in Leo. So, I mean, Leo is the sign of creativity, of childhood, of that sort of unfettered, just excited, joyful, confident, creative energy that wants to shine, wants to be the star of the show. And this is, again, a new moon in Leo, which means a new beginning for this type of energy. And with Be Bold and Make the First Move, the cardinal moon for this shadow hermit energy, I mean, I think, you know, what your guides are saying is like, it's, you know, you're going to have to be bold in saying, like, if this sense of momentum and this direction isn't really taking you where you want to go and isn't taking you towards the thing that lights you up and taking you towards the gifts that you're here to give to the world, you need to be bold and assertive in saying, this isn't my path, this isn't what I want to do, and I'm going to make a change. You know, even if it upsets people, even if it confuses people, even if it seems out of left field for a lot of people who know you, you know, you need to, again, adopt some more of this Leo energy, this confident energy, saying, I know what's right for me. I know what's going to bring me fulfillment and how I can best serve the world. And I know, you know, the creative and joyful path that I want to take. And I'm going to take the initiative in order to get there, you know, to kind of put myself on a new path, do whatever it takes to get the momentum going in a different direction. And it's a lot about courage. The lion is traditionally an animal associated with courage. You know, cardinal energy is assertive energy. It's energy that, again, makes the first move, takes the first step. It's courageous energy, leadership energy, and it's about being a leader in your own life. And that's what the guides, what Spirit is asking you to do right now. All right, so lastly, I had pulled this archetype card from the Wild Unknown Archetypes, And this is kind of going to be like an overall energy or an overall message, perhaps maybe giving some more information or some more context on what this creative path is leading you towards, or what your higher self has in mind for your life as you're balancing these energies. And so we have the Judge. It's interesting. So, yeah, I mean, it's interesting, like, when you think of the Judge, and one of the things that I was talking about earlier was this sense of judgment, right? So, the Hermit is withdrawing out of fear or negative judgments of others. And I think a lot of this is about learning the role of other people's judgments in your life, other people's, how other people's, project, like judgments that come from their projections, their fears and their own wounding, how those things aren't real and how they don't need to have a bearing on how you see yourself and what you consider to be the possibilities for your own life. So it's learning to kind of be very detached and very kind of objective towards the judgments of others, like not taking them as personally and realizing that you're the leader in your own life and that you are responsible for being in tune with your guidance and knowing what's right for you. So that's one kind of aspect of the Judge. And then also, when I hear the word the Judge, I kind of think of the word or the card in the tarot, the Judgment. So Judgment is all about receiving a calling and following your own path. It's about sort of being pushed towards your life purpose, which I definitely think is something that's happening for you right now. So there's kind of that concept of judgment. And then finally, judgment is discernment, and it's discerning what's truly right for us. And it's hard for us to discern what's right for us when we're out of touch with our divine self or aspects of our divine self. The self that we were before the world put all kinds of projections on us, telling us what we could and couldn't do. So yeah, it's like kind of having correct discernment and having correct judgment involves getting in touch with our own divine innocence, right? Because, we're only able to judge what's correct for ourselves when we're seeing ourselves and when we're seeing the world clearly. All right, so I'm gonna leave you there, pile one. Thank you so much for watching, for showing up. I will link all these decks in the description box. And, if you enjoyed this reading, please give me a like or a subscribe, to follow more of my readings as I continue to post them. And I'm looking forward to seeing you at our next video. Hey pile two, so if you chose the ballerina slipper earring with a little red rhinestone, this is your Archetypes reading. I had at first thought that I was going to flip them over one by one and kind of show you the cards, but I decided it was a lot easier to kind of get a sense of the full story if I had it all on the table at once. So we're going to start with your shadow and then move to your light attribute. The two that came out for you for shadow was mentor, and the shadow attributes that it lists are an ability to allow the student to move on to the role of master and imparting false instruction. And then the lover was your light attribute, and that says great passion and devotion, unbridled appreciation of someone or something. So looking at your cards, and I pulled as clarifiers, I pulled some cards from the Golden Art Nouveau Tarot and then some from the Osho Zen Tarot. I think it's really interesting what I can tell is happening here. So obviously, with the Mentor card, I feel that with the Mentor card combined with the Ace of Pentacles, I'm feeling that you may have recently gotten an opportunity in your life, quite possibly in your career, or, but it could be in another area of your life as well, where you're kind of in a leadership position or in a position where people are really looking up to you. And this position could have come about fairly suddenly. It could have come about out of nowhere. But the real energy that I'm kind of getting here is imposter syndrome. I mean, I'm hearing the phrase imposter syndrome, and the reason why I'm hearing that is because we've got the Seven of Swords and the King of Cups. And of course, the King of Cups is, if there's any card in the deck that resonates with the energy of mentor, it would obviously be the King of Cups. It's someone who is very emotionally balanced, someone who's wise, someone who has a lot of experience and is able to convey that in a way that resonates compassionately with the people he is leading, right? So we have that, and then we have that combined with the Seven of Swords, which kind of, again, that's giving me the sense of kind of imposter syndrome. It's someone who feels like almost like they've come by this leadership role. I mean, I don't want to say illegitimately, but almost like, like I was saying, maybe it came out of nowhere. It was kind of thrust upon you. The overall impression that I'm getting is that you perhaps potentially weren't really ready for it. And another part of the reason why I say that is because if you kind of take a look at, I gotta get these cards down here on the table. If you take a look at your light attributes, I mean, we've got the Three of Cups here, we've got the Knight of Wands, we have creativity, we have postponement, and obviously the Lover attribute. And I'm almost getting the sense that you feel like you have to show up now for people in this really kind of buttoned up, kind of more conventional or like wise, knowing, very kind of just like not, how do you put it? Like not, like this very responsible way. And I'm not saying that like you aren't responsible, but just that like you can't let your real self show. You can't, you have to really, we have this card here, ordinariness. You have to really seem like you have it all put together. Yeah, you feel like you have to have it all put together. You have to at least look like you have it all put together. Like all of a sudden you feel like you have to like leave behind your, your more creative self, your passionate self, yourself that likes to have fun, yourself that kind of, I mean, I don't want to say like lets it all hang out, but you know what I'm saying? Just you feel like you really have to show up for people in a way that's like leaving behind your more lighthearted attributes. And I mean, again, with this postponement card, I'm almost getting the energy of like, when you see that image of a child inside a classroom, and they're looking out the window, and they have to do their homework, and they're looking out the window at the beautiful sky outside, and they're just kind of stuck in this really sort of sterile environment, where they're not able to be their full self, or they're not able to like have fun. Yeah, just feeling really cut off from fun, from creative energy. Just like you'll never be able to kind of loosen up again is the feeling that I'm getting. I mean, with this, the Eight of Pentacles above the creativity card, I mean, there may be a creative pursuit that you're worried you now won't have time for, or that, this creative pursuit isn't compatible with how, you feel people need to see you now as someone who's very serious, someone who's very, I mean, maybe uptight is a little too strong a word, but, someone who's very, maybe, I don't know, methodical, analytical, who knows, but yeah, like you either won't have time for this, or like you can't let people know about it. You feel potentially like some of your possibilities have been taken away now that you've been sort of trapped into this leadership role. It's like, well, you thought the world was open to you. I mean, and obviously it is good to be in a leadership role, but it's like maybe there were other possibilities, other things that you had wanted to explore, and you now feel you can't explore because you have all of these new opportunities. And maybe you're even now feeling a little impulsive. Like I'm hearing the phrase like sow your wild oats, kind of. It's like, oh no, it's like that chapter of my life is behind me now. I have to like really be this person that maybe I never actually really believed that I would be, or that I could be. yeah, and it's just, I don't even know if it's as much like, it's kind of a light and shadow thing, but it's just kind of integrating these two sides of yourself, because I don't know, it's like here we have guidance and transformation, and obviously guidance with the mentor card. I mean, that's telling me that you do have a real gift for this mentorship role that you've been sort of tracked into. You have the guidance and the wisdom to impart. There's a lot of potential here, and a lot of like, it's quite possible that this is divinely guided for you, and that you do have a lot to share, and you do have a very good aptitude for leadership. That ability to guide is definitely within you. And this transformation card, it's like, this is kind of like a bodhisattva type of figure. Like, I just see someone who's been through a lot, of transformation, someone who will continue to transform. Yeah, again, someone who's here to guide, because you have experience, and far from the sense of imposter syndrome that you have, you are ready to take this on. You do have the capability. But I just think it's all very new, and it's like very scary, because perhaps you didn't expect to reach this level so soon, or, on some psychological level, you weren't really yet ready for it. And part of you obviously is still in this lover energy that wants to experience life, that wants to go out, have adventures, be kind of unfettered, that wants to just really, really enjoy and explore life. So that's kind of what I'm seeing there with your light and shadow attributes. And again, it's like, I don't have a lot of information yet on quite how to reconcile those things. That's just kind of what I'm seeing here with your situation. But what I did do was I pulled two Moonology cards, one to go with your shadow and one to go with your light. It's going to give us some advice on how to reconcile these energies and how to best work with them in your life to kind of achieve more integration. And so here we've got your hard work is paying off and meditate and contemplate. So I'm going to start here with this new moon in Capricorn card, which I think here, again, I really think here this is a strong signal or strong symbol to me that, you being put into this new leadership or mentorship role, like, this is meant to happen. This is meant to be, you are supposed to be here. You are supposed to be in this position. Like, you definitely, like, you have the ability, you have the experience, you have the aptitude for guiding people, and for, for the position that you've been placed into. This is meant for you. It's a reward. It's meant to be a reward. It's not meant to be scary. And, it's a big new beginning for you in terms of your work. Capricorn, a lot of times we do think of Capricorn in terms of work. Capricorn is correlated with the 10th house, which is, career or public position. So, this is for you. And this imposter syndrome is something you're meant to grow out of. It's not something to be afraid of or worried about, because, you're not going to feel like this forever. And then meditate and contemplate with new moon in Pisces. So yeah, I mean, with this postponement card and kind of the meditate and contemplate postponement. So in this deck, the postponement, this is actually related to the Four of Swords, and the new moon in Pisces. I mean, I think, it maybe that you take time out for, you do need to take time out for yourself over the course of this transition and just kind of be with yourself. I'm hearing the words reflect, process, and kind of, understand how this new opportunity in a certain way, shape, or form is grounding your deepest dreams, right? It's like, so these lover energy, this sort of lover energy where you feel a little bit hemmed in because you're like, well, oh no, now that I've officially reached the leadership role and I have this, these sort of strong set of commitments, that's closed off other possibilities, that's closed other doors. And I guess like the thing that I'm hearing is like you just need to kind of spend some time integrating there's just a balancing period that needs to occur, right? I think that the message is that like the reason why you're feeling this way is because, well, first of all, this transition is very new. You know, we had the Ace of Pentacles here, and it's going to get better as time goes on. But you are going to be able to find a way to kind of bring your more creative self into your new role. I mean, I think you feel extra pressure right now because it's new and you don't want to make a mistake and you don't want to let your true self shine for fear of making a mistake or for fear of being seen as like not sufficiently professional or, not fit for your role or whatnot. But I mean, again, like it's going to balance out. That's kind of the message that I'm getting with this Pisces, and also the energy that like this sort of fun-loving self that you had, when you were younger and that still is a part of you. I don't want to, like, it's not that you need to cast it off. That isn't what I want to say at all. It's more like the realization and the understanding that like the best version of yourself is going to come from this opportunity. Like your highest dreams, like your most fulfilling dreams, the dreams that most serve you. Like, I'm not talking about just sort of like the fun stuff that you wanted to do to kind of check off your bucket list. That's kind of the energy with its possibilities. It's like, yeah, there was a lot of stuff that you wanted to do. You wanted to check off your bucket list, and maybe you haven't gotten to those things, or you feel like you won't have the time for those things now that you're this mentor. But just realizing that, like, every opportunity or every road that we go down, every door that we open, and we close other doors behind us, yeah, there's an opportunity cost, but ultimately, like, when you meditate and contemplate and realize what's really important to you, this new role, this divinely guided role, is going to be able to fulfill those possibilities for you. And it might seem stressful now, but eventually you will get used to it. You will be able to kind of acclimate, and you'll feel better. You'll lose some of the sense of imposter syndrome. You'll be able to kind of settle in and be more of your truest self, and yeah, like it's all gonna balance out, and you'll realize that even the things that you're giving up, or this sort of like really youthful energy you feel like you're giving up, you're gonna gain so much more by becoming this more mature and this more sort of, I don't want to say enlightened. It's just like, when you become, again, one of the shadow attributes of the mentor is, I think, your inability to allow the student to move on to the role of master. And what you're being asked to do right now is kind of start to step into the role of master. And once it's a natural progression. Eventually you do have to leave the student role behind. And once you do that, I mean, there will be a whole new set of possibilities that will open up for you that you've just got to trust are going to be, even more fulfilling than the possibilities that you feel you're potentially maybe leaving behind. So yeah, all right, so that's the guidance that I have for you. And then the last thing I'm going to do is bring through the last archetype card that I had chosen for your pile, which is kind of supposed to give like a more global view or an overall view of the energy that your higher self is trying to transition you into by integrating these archetypes. So by kind of integrating the mentor with the lover archetype, what are you ultimately trying to achieve on like a sort of higher, more spiritual level? So we have the dead end, which may seem, it may seem kind of scary to look at first, but I think really here, this message is really just, what they're trying to say is that, so this lover energy, right? This lover energy, what I was just talking about with the student moving on to the role of the master. So if you never allow yourself to, close some of those doors and to, adopt a little bit more responsibility and become a teacher, become someone who's passing on wisdom, if you never allow yourself to kind of mature and take on that more mentorship, or like starting to move into a more kind of elder role, what they're saying is this like really youthful, like lover energy. We've got like the Three of Cups and the Knight of Wands, like that ultimately becomes a dead end for you, right? Like there's nothing more to see here. You've kind of done it all. You've experienced all you needed to experience in that energy. It's kind of, eventually, you do kind of have to step up to the next level, reach the next level of evolution. And I think that's the pretty strong message here, is that even though this can be fun and it can be fulfilling in the moment, like in terms of your real spiritual evolution and your your ultimate fulfillment, like it becomes a dead end. And it's interesting because we had this here is the shadow archetype and this here is the light archetype. And I think, they definitely want to say, like with this being the light archetype, your passion and devotion are like really positive light attributes of you. Your spirit, your love for life, your bubbliness, your happiness, your passion for whatever it is that you're doing, that is definitely a light attribute. And that's something that you want to bring to your work as this mentor, once you settle in a bit more. But again, like this, I think this was in the shadow position because you have this inner resistance to allowing yourself to move on to the role of master or mentor. And they just want to say that, like, the kind of the only way out is through. That if you continue to resist taking on this role or this sense of yourself as someone who is imparting guidance and wisdom, and who has it's not capability, or someone who has the qualification and the experience level to do this. If you resist moving into this energy, it's like a dead end for you. So this card isn't meant to be scary. It's just meant to tell you that, you've reached the end of one pathway and it's time to step into the next. And there's always like a little bit of, there could be like, there's a little fear around any transition, especially a transition where you're, asked to step to the next level of capability. But, that's what you're here to do. So yeah, that's ultimately a super positive message. So I'm going to go ahead and leave your reading here, pile 2. If you like this video, please hit the like button or subscribe to see more of my videos coming up. Thank you so much for being here today. Like I said, I'll link all my decks in the description box if you liked any of them. But yeah, hope to see you next video, and enjoy the rest of your day. Hey pile 3, so if you chose the third earring, the blue tassel with the sparkly top, this is your Archetypes reading. So before I had thought maybe I would just flip over each one in turn, but it turns out that it's actually easier and better to get a sense of the full story by having everything on the table at once. So just to start out, your 2 archetypes that you got, your shadow archetype was rescuer, and the shadow attributes of that are assumes that the rescued will reciprocate and keeps the rescued one needy. And then virgin with the light attribute of maintaining symbolic purity of heart and spirit. All right, so this is a really interesting energy, and kind of one of the main things that strikes me about this reading and this sort of arrangement of cards here is that, like, I'm just getting this real vibe of kind of like an arrested development type of energy. So we have, this is the Page of Wands, the 8 of Swords, the 2 of Wands, the 7 of Cups, and the Page of Pentacles. So I'm just going to pull these all out and kind of show you here. And so if you kind of look at all these cards, it's very much this energy of someone who's keeping themselves stuck and has and is having a lot of trouble, or like is not allowing themselves to choose a direction, right? Because the Seven of Cups talks about having many different options and being confused or unclear as to which one to choose. Sometimes it's self-imposed confusion, sometimes it's not. We have the Two of Wands, which again is a card of it's positivity and possibilities, but it's also like you haven't chosen a direction yet, and there's you have the world in the palm of your hands, but I'm just kind of getting this energy that like it doesn't really progress past that sort of portal or that gateway into the world. You have the Eight of Swords, which again is a card of keeping yourself stuck, usually through mental constructs, limiting beliefs, stuff like that, because the swords are mental energy. Then we have the Page of Wands and the Page of Pentacles, which again, cards of possibility, but here I'm very much feeling that it's like always stuck in this kind of like youthful energy, or it's like, always at the start of your journey is what I'm hearing, always at the start of your journey. So, it's just this feeling of not really being able to commit oneself, choose a direction, really get started on something, put oneself out there into the world, take a risk, start really working towards something, assume accountability or responsibility for the direction of your life. And again, I don't mean to be overly critical of anyone. I apologize that this is difficult to hear. It's just what's coming through. Ultimately, this is meant to be healing and helpful once we get through all of this. But yeah, just this kind of energy of this not being able to pick a direction, not being able to step outside your front door, kind of. And we'll get to why that is in a minute. But yeah, that's what I'm getting from those cards. And obviously, this is causing sorrow, this is causing pain. The Eight of Swords is another card of stress, of pain, of feeling trapped. I think this is causing pain for you and probably for other people in your life. And again, I think with this participation and this rescuer card, it's possible that because you're unable to choose a direction and really get anything going in your life, maybe you're relying on others for a sense of self, or with the participation card, that's the Four of Wands in this deck, in the Osho Zen deck. And the Four of Wands talks about home base. Possibly you're living at home right now and you haven't, you're not in a position to be living on your own, or there's just this sense of community and familiarity that I'm feeling that really well, but you're not able to get outside of. And it's possible that others within that community are even supporting you, or potentially, quote unquote, rescuing you when you kind of make these attempts that don't quite go anywhere, because it's like you're always you're in this kind of dependent energy, and this unsure energy, and this feeling of like always needing to be like rescued from yourself, or like if you take any initiative or step outside those bounds, you're going to need to be rescued, or just not a sense of confidence or self-efficacy, and this sort of this needing to be enveloped by this community, kind of. And I'm sorry if that seems a little indefinite, but I mean, I think the next thing that we can kind of go on to in terms of explaining this is, and along with the Virgin card, so the energy that I really picked up with this Six of Pentacles here, along with this kind of Page of Pentacles, it's like the reason, maybe even like subconsciously, why you're holding yourself back so much, why you feel so adrift, and why you feel unable to choose a direction, is because it's like you feel, in terms of the sort of maybe, I don't know if adult is the right word, but the kind of like mature world where people are, embarking on careers and sorry, really choosing a direction for themselves. It's like you feel like it all leads to the same road where you're kind of compromising yourself and like you become like a commodity. Like it's hard to kind of explain, but it's like, it's like I don't even want to say like trading time for money. It's just the sense that like you sell out. It's a sense of selling out, right? It's like the Six of Pentacles is like full entrenchment in, potentially the corporate world, or this world where you're somehow less of yourself, or you've compromised who you really are, or you've, it would be like a strong word to say prostituting yourself, but where you're just kind of, you've sold yourself to the highest bidder, right? You've entered the corporate world, you've taken on like a typical job, you're not allowed to be yourself anymore. It's like, I can't think of like a strong or more sort of apt way to put it than perhaps like selling out, but it's just this energy where it's like, you've lost your sense of purity of heart and spirit of who you really are. It's like you've lost like the truth of your heart, what makes you, because you have to, it's like you have to earn a living, or you have to do what you have to do in order to earn a living and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, and what's kind of interesting going along with that is we have this, we have here both the King and the Queen of Wands in this deck. The King of Wands is the creator, and the Queen of Wands is sharing. And then we have the Ten of Wands, which is suppression, which tells me that like you have an immense amount to give and share. You're a very creative person. And what goes along with this, purity of heart and spirit, which I think is really evident in this King and Queen of Wands. I mean, what's interesting with a king and a queen, you have kind of this sense of, masculine and feminine, fertility. And again, like, not to take this metaphor a little too far, but like, with the virgin is like, is purity is someone who technically has not yet had sex. And then we have like a male and female couple. It's kind of like, and then it's like suppression. It's like avoiding the sort of consummation of your masculine and feminine, avoiding the consummation of your creativity and your sense of purpose in the world, because you're so afraid of this idea of kind of selling out, of being forced into this box, of being forced to become someone that you're not in order to kind of make your way in the world. It's these people kind of like begging for a few coins, begging for crumbs from this, sort of overlord. And then with that comes the sense that like, it's like you never kind of get all, it's like, what I'm hearing with this card, completion and the puzzle pieces, it's like you never put all the puzzle pieces together. It's like nothing ever quite comes together for you, which means that you feel like you constantly need to be rescued. You constantly have this sense of dependency. And I'm not exactly sure in what form that takes, if that's like, being financially rescued or emotionally or whatnot. But yeah, and I mean, I think that the main point here is that this idea that you're going to be unable to find a career, to find a way of life, or like a living, the word is escaping me right now, but like a career or something that compensates you, that's going to be aligned with your purity of spirit, with who you truly are, and with like the immense gifts and talents that you have to give to the world, that you're suppressing because you're afraid, they'll be crushed by the outside world. Like that's not true. That's a limiting belief. That's a mental construct. And so, and like, I understand, like, I totally get it, because it's so hard to I mean, translating your self-expression into like a lucrative pursuit in the world, and translating the truth of yourself into something that pays the bills is it's one of the hardest things for any human to do. And like, I understand the block that you have around, releasing those fears. I totally understand that. But, they're saying that, the guides are saying that like it's possible for you, and that, it's like you eventually will come into this place where you're able to, become yourself in the world, become this sort of king and queen of wands, as it were, step into your empowered masculine, step into your empowered feminine. You won't have to suppress these energies wanting to get out. You'll be able to find something that aligns with you. And I think that's, that process is something that you're working on right now. So yeah, so that's kind of what I have for you in terms of your situation, or what I'm seeing about the archetypes that you're working with right now. Sorry, these cards are a little bit of a mess. But from there, I'm actually we're going to look at your Moonology cards. I pulled two to kind of correspond with the shadow and the light attribute that you're working with. Just as these are more advice cards to kind of talk about what you need to do in terms of integrating these archetypes and helping them come into balance, helping your situation come into balance. So we have what do you need to release, and a time for healing. Yeah, I think this is appropriate. I think, with the what do you need to release card, that's very much in line with this Eight of Swords and this kind of like Six of Pentacles idea. And like what I'm really feeling now, or like kind of hearing, is that like this, this block where you feel like you can't choose a direction because you feel like all roads lead to you compromising yourself. I don't know if you had like potentially a parent or someone that you were close to as a child that, you could see that they were a much different person than who they were forced to be in the world. And like you potentially developed this limiting belief that supporting yourself in the world means having this like corporate career or whatever the case may be. Like they're saying that like this is a limiting belief that you need to release. This fear, like, because that doesn't have to be the truth. This really doesn't have to be the truth for everyone. It doesn't have to be the truth for you. And, it's part of your goal, part of your life purpose this lifetime to make it not the truth for you, because that obviously is like causing you a lot of stress, pain, and sadness, and you're not meant to live that way. So yeah, releasing these limiting beliefs around what's possible for you in terms of earning a living, and really being able to commit to what does light you up, and pursuing a way of life and potentially a career path that does align with who you really are and with your creative possibilities. It's releasing those fears and those limiting beliefs around it's career, but also like finances and money are that's the place that you kind of start. And then, a time for healing. Yeah, in some ways it's kind of, it's more of the same. It's, and I think what's really interesting is that along with the, the limiting belief that we were talking about with the finances, career, and money, I think it's almost like, you're afraid to express, or you're afraid to really like embody these creative energies deep within yourself. And it's clear that like you're a very creative, like very visionary person even. And it's almost like you're, not only do you have those limiting beliefs, you're afraid to express your truth because you're afraid that you're going to have to cut it off in order to choose a direction. And so it's like you don't even want to embody it, you don't even want to express it because you're so afraid you're going to have to sort of stuff it back in the bag or whatever. So it's like you're paralyzed on one side of the equation with choosing a career or like a financial direction for yourself, and then on the creative end it's like you're also you're suppressing who you really are because you're afraid that you're not going to be able to fully express that. I'm sorry if that seems complicated. That's kind of what I'm feeling. And it's this healing card, it's about like healing this suppression, potentially healing healing your inner child. This balsamic moon, it's kind of this, if you think of the card, the Hermit in the tarot, this Hermit energy is taking time out for yourself. And I think it's carving out time and space to be able to kind of completely remove yourself from the potential judgments of others, the outside world. It's the energy of waking up early in the morning before the sun shines to work on a creative project, work on a creative energy journal, really tap into this sort of like passionate, fiery energy within yourself. It's both like, I get a sense of like sacral chakra energy as well as solar plexus. Just connecting with that deeply creative being, because I think you're kind of shut off from that. And even like, it doesn't even have to be serious. Even if it's like finger painting or doing a coloring book, the small steps every little step will help you. It's connecting with that passion for life. And and it's like with the Virgin card, you have this purity of spirit. You have this like really divine sort of gifted energy, but it's, with the King and the Queen of Wands, that represents like an embodied, sort of the two halves of an embodied individual that's bringing this purity of spirit into the world. That's birthing it into the world and not just letting it, remain inside, cut off from everyone else, cut off from expression. Healing, spending time alone, healing yourself, and just sort of teaching yourself again how to connect with your creative expression and how to birth creative projects. Just connecting with that side of yourself. So those are my two, those are the two pieces of advice that Spirit wants to bring with you, both, releasing your limiting beliefs and healing your ability to create and to, to believe that your creations deserve an audience. So there we go with that. And then the last thing I had pulled was an archetype card from the Wild Unknown Archetypes to kind of get a sense of what the ultimate, what you're ultimately working on embodying, like what archetype you're working on embodying from a higher level, like what your higher self is kind of pushing you towards. It's sort of like a more like global spiritual level archetype that you're being gently nudged into by your higher self. So we have the Crone. That's interesting. With this coin here, we've got it's the Star of David that has the upright triangle and the facing down triangle, which is the masculine and the feminine actually intertwined. It's a symbol of balance between masculine and feminine energies, which is really interesting considering that we had the Creator and we have the King of Wands and the Queen of Wands. So again, it's that balance of masculine and feminine energies, which means like, again, birthing yourself, birthing your projects, birthing your path into the world. That sort of energy of fertility, taking action and also being creative. So, and then the Crone that's kind of, that's a very wide, so the Crone, there are three archetypes of the divine feminine. There's the maiden, the mother, and the Crone. The Crone is the wise woman. And once again, I think that just speaks to the fact that, you're someone who's very pure of heart and spirit and who has a lot of wisdom and a lot of like, you have a real divine calling and purpose in this lifetime, and you will be able to enact that purpose. You will be able to connect that with how you make a living or how you support yourself in the world. And that's something that you very much have to come into alignment with, and something that you have to believe, because you have a lot of knowledge and wisdom to share. And again, the Creator and sharing, the King and Queen of Wands, are both very spiritually wise people, spiritually gifted beings. And I think, you can be a kind of a pathfinder and a way shower. You're probably a light worker. And, you're meant to share your wisdom with the world. You're meant to come into balance with this masculine and feminine energy and really, take action, choose a direction, and create in a way that's in alignment for you. All right, so that's what I have for you, pile 3. If you enjoyed this reading, please feel free to hit the like button or subscribe to see more of my videos coming up. Thank you so much for being here today, and I hope to see you on my next video. Hey, pile 4, so if you chose the earring with the little origami paper crane, this is going to be your Archetypes reading. So originally I thought I would turn over the Archetypes one and then the other, but it turns out it's a lot easier to read and understand the story going on if I have everything on the table at once. So that being said, we've got a shadow and a light archetype for you, and your shadow archetype is victim, which is playing the victim for positive feedback in the form of pity and ability to maintain personal boundaries. And your light attribute is prince, romantic charm and potential for power. So just when I started to kind of look at these cards, right off the bat, I feel like this is kind of I got a pretty strong message. It's a pretty specific message. So if it doesn't resonate, it might not be your pile. You may want to pick a different one. But again, it's pretty interesting. I mean, we've got, with the shadow attribute of victim, we've got these 3 cards here. We've got the King of Wands, the 4 of Wands, and the 5 of Wands. So again, a lot of fire energy, a lot of passion here, but it's like I'm getting a really strong past life energy from this group, and this pile, and I feel like what you're working on right now with these archetypes is actually healing some kind of past life pattern. And with these 3 cards, the King of Wands, the 4 of Wands, and the 5 of Wands, the first thing I heard was jousting match, and I kind of got this vibe or this energy of, like the fairy tales where there's like a king and then all of these like princes or suitors are like competing to win the hand of his daughter. That's kind of the vibe that I got here, because we've got, this king. The 4 of Wands just talks about like weddings, marriages, or it can talk about that. We have the castle here, and then we have these these men kind of duking it out. So that was the vibe that I got. And again, it's a situation where it's like you feel like you're a victim because like people it's a situation where people are fighting over you, but you don't necessarily get to make the choice of the person, right? It's like that choice has kind of been outsourced to somebody else. And here we have the two of Swords with someone who's blind, who's the Two of Swords traditionally talks about being blocked in terms of making a choice, or like you're kind of at a stalemate. And then we have the Devil and the 10 of Wands. So this is a restrictive energy. I get that it's like a sort of a detrimental, and it's like a kind of a past life pattern. It causes a lot of stress. It's heavy. It's just this energy, or I feel like you're kind of caught in this idea or this feeling where people need to fight over you in order for you to feel validated. Almost like maybe you have maybe one of your shadow attributes is, potentially playing off suitors against one another. Again, it's like, that sounds like a really negative thing. I'm not trying to be judgmental or of anyone. I'm just, kind of, this is what I'm seeing. And I mean, again, that's kind of supported by the fact that we have both the cards of comparison. This is the 5 of Swords in the Osho Zen deck, and, the Knight of Swords, which is fighting. So fighting in comparison, either an energy where like you feel like you need people to fight over you to prove that you're valuable or to prove their commitment, or potentially like even in your head, it's always like you're always like comparing different people that you're romantically interested in, and like none of them can ever win, or like it's all about like this person versus that person. It's just this really strong energy of competition, potentially where it relates to romance, and this energy where you feel disempowered in making a decision because in some ways it's all about the fight and being sort of stuck and entrenched in that energy of fighting. And the the counterbalance to that energy is this completion and harmony. So again, this is all the puzzle pieces, fitting together the way they're meant to. The sense of coherence, unity, the ability to make a decision, to sort of cohere all of the elements of the situation, and make a judgment. And then harmony is choosing from your heart and from your third eye, and knowing what's right for you, knowing what you truly want and you truly desire, so that you're out of this victim energy where you feel that it's all about the fight, and it's all about having people prove their commitment to you. And it's like you're constantly waiting for, well, is this good enough? Is this good enough? Can I choose if this person does this for me, if this person does this for me? And you're kind of potentially victimizing yourself by being in this constant comparison trap. Well, what about this person? Or if this person seems better, what about this person? Or it's almost like, it's this past life pattern where, again, getting the energy that it comes from a past life where you were in some sort of situation where people were like contending for your hand or something. It seems so weird. This is such like a hard energy to express, but it's like almost like stuck in like the idea that like it's about the competition itself rather than it being about you making a choice and manifesting what you feel is right for you from your heart and from your third eye, right? Because this harmony energy, this is the 10 of Cups in this deck. Again, the world, completion is the world, and harmony, the 10 of Cups. And again, this is about like the sort of contending, the competition, the fighting, the comparison energy. It's where you're giving your power away to other people's displays of affection, or their whatever it is that they do or don't do for you. Whereas here, it's you're taking the initiative to decide, like, independent of what anyone else is or isn't doing for you. You're deciding what you want. Like, what do you want out of a relationship? What kind of a partnership, what kind of a commitment do you want? What do you want someone else to do? Like what kind of gestures do you want to see someone else make for you? How do you want to feel in your connection? How can it be a real sort of partnership of equals, as opposed to this relationship or this sort of situation where someone is constantly proving their worth to you? Like, you're putting someone else in a situation where they're constantly having to prove their worth to you, and that ultimately disempowers you, because it's like you're putting all the onus on like their actions or their activities. Again, I feel like this is a hard thing to convey, but yeah, it's just like it's being stuck in this pattern or energy where it's like you feel other people have to fight over you, but in some sense the decision of who ends up winning you isn't ultimately yours. It's really weird. It's because again, we have this sort of father figure, like king energy, it's, and like I said, this is very much like, I really get like a past life vibe from this. Like we have the devil twice, that 50, this is the devil in the Ocean's End. This is obviously the devil in the Golden Art Nouveau Tarot. Conditioning. This is like past life conditioning, or some kind of conditioning you've been through that's caused you to be stuck in this. It's an unconscious pattern. It's not, I don't get this. Like, obviously I don't think this is something you're doing on purpose. I really don't. It's an unconscious pattern, or something subconscious that you're here to break out of, for sure. You're here to break out of this disempowering energy being unable to choose, of feeling stuck, unable to connect with your own sense of intuition or like romantic agency. That's such a weird phrase, but yeah, romantic agency. And then of course here with the light attribute, like prince, it's like, I just heard someday my prince will come. And I know that's gonna sound off to a lot of people because it seems, Snow White is if you think about like the Disney movie Snow White, it's a very old story where the prince kind of like wins her and whatnot. But like, someday my prince will come, in the sense it's like you're imagining like what kind of a romantic partner do you want? Who like what really matters to you? What's important to you? Like not comparing or playing off this person versus that person, but like, what really matters to you, and what kind of a romantic partner do you dream of, right? It's not about what this person's doing versus that person is doing or how they're competing, but it's about like having someone that really captures your heart and what you want. So yeah, this light attribute of romantic charm and potential for power. So that's kind of where we're coming from with this prince energy. And yeah, I apologize if that didn't resonate. That's really what's coming through. Yeah, anyway, so that's kind of what I have in terms of your situation. Oh, and I didn't talk about the 10 of Swords card. This is rebirth. Yeah, just saying that you're meant to transcend this pattern. You're meant to end it. You're meant to grow past it. I mean, this whole progression from the camel to the lion to the child is about transcending our patterns. So yeah. Okay, so with that, we're actually going to move on to, I had pulled some numerology cards just to get some advice in terms of how to integrate these archetypes and balance these energies. I had pulled one for your shadow and one for your light, but we'll take a look and see what this advice is. So we have adjustments are required, and it's time to take action. Interesting. So yeah, so I guess the adjustments are required, with that being, with your shadow attribute. Yeah, it's just adjusting your perspective, I think, adjusting how you see things, adjusting your approach to love and romance, I think, because I do think that this is ultimately kind of a love reading. I'm just really getting the word perspective, like I'm seeing someone with their head kind of inclined, like taking a step back, taking an objective look. And again, when you get into this like 5 of Wands energy, like it's a fire, it's a Wands card, it's fire energy. It can feel very passionate and get your blood moving and all that kind of stuff. And like it gets like when you're in this like intense energy, you can be very reactive. You're not really stepping back and taking a more objective or more, like, I don't know if rational is even the right word, but just like a more kind of informed look at things, or just like having a cooler head, I guess, is kind of, and I think, part with this like competitive energy of people, potentially fighting over you, or having to have lots of different suitors at once, kind of like, it puts you in this constant energy of like passion and waiting for the next thing to happen, and drama and excitement. And it's like, well, that can give you a huge rush, obviously, but in terms of transcending that pattern so that you can have like a truly supportive and truly loving relationship that ultimately like is stable and that like makes you fulfilled and happy, which I get the sense that you probably maybe haven't attracted that kind of a relationship yet because of this pattern. You need to take a step back and really think about, well, okay, how can I do things differently? How can I step out of the drama or avoid it, or just like not engage with it, not entangle with it? And I think a lot of that is going to be getting in touch with yourself and what you want, and kind of believing that that's possible for you to manifest, that you can have that, and that a drama-free relationship for the most part can feel good, can feel healthy, can feel peaceful, and give you a sense of, I don't know, just like peace. And sorry, I just said peace twice, but just give you a sense of like wholeness, and not that you're like you need someone else to be whole necessarily, but just that like, yeah, this integration with like your heart and your inner knowing, and that you don't need drama necessarily to feel passion. I think that's what I'm trying to express. Like you don't need a bunch of drama in your life to feel passion and to feel like love and sort of fiery connection in your relationship. That can come outside of like having people, having like 10 different people texting you, or you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, so this adjustments are required, just stepping back, gaining some perspective, understanding what you've been doing and how you can make changes. And then it's interesting, it's time to take action. That's, again, it's more fire energy actually, which is funny because I feel like it's almost like we're wanting to step away from the fire energy in some ways. But new moon in Aries. I think we just passed the new moon in Aries actually. So this is kind of interesting. I mean, this is a timeless reading, but yeah. It's a fresh start, and it's like once you've kind of stepped back and had this change of perspective and potentially made these adjustments, it's time to take action on this, on what really is gonna give you a sense of peace, love, and happiness, like finding that romantic partner, manifesting that romantic partner. And I think what's interesting is one of the meanings of this card, actually, if you look at the book, the Moonology book, is like a new male is coming into your life. So actually, I think in some ways what this could be saying is that once you have the sort of the courage and you take time to heal and make these adjustments and understand what's going on and maybe how you're engaging in some self-defeating patterns and behaviors, like with the Devil card. Once you make these changes, once you have this sort of sense of self-awareness, you actually will be able to, like for sure, you'll be able to attract a partner that's more in line with that, and it's going to give you a sense of passion and excitement without drama, and that you're not going to feel the need to constantly be like comparing this person to other people or wondering, could this person, someone else be better? And you'll attract the right partner for you once you manage to step out of this pattern. I think that's really kind of what this is saying. All right, so finally, I pulled, for our last message, an archetype card from the Wild Unknown Archetypes, just to give kind of a higher level perspective of maybe like kind of the spiritual level archetype that your higher self is pushing you or is like gently sort of nudging you to embody by integrating or working with these energies or healing this pattern. So we're going to see what we have here. The Hunter. Yeah, that's interesting. Like, so the Hunter, if you think of the hunter versus the hunted, I mean, the hunter is someone, again, the hunter is kind of like the opposite of the victim, right? Or in some sense, because the victim doesn't really have any choice in the matter of what happens to him or her. They're kind of at the mercy of everything and everyone else. Whereas the hunter, that's someone with a very clear sense of direction. I mean, you can see this energy, this line is like, these lines are focusing to a certain point. This is someone with vision, who knows what he or she wants. It's about having a clear vision and a clear purpose for your own life, and not like allowing others to define that for you or needing other people to act in a certain way for you to feel okay. Like, I feel like that wasn't quite like, it's having a real sense of self-determination. And I think just in case there are any extra messages here, I'm gonna take a look in the Archetypes book for this one. 9, the Hunter. Yeah. Just looking at the... when this card appears, it is critical that you ask 3 questions. What am I hunting? Why am I hunting it? And is the weapon I hold so tightly in my grip truly needed for the task at hand? So, yeah, I mean, I think overall it's just pretty much what I said, that this, this transition is meant to help you develop a greater sense of agency and self-determination. Because again, the princess that other people, the archetype, or the, and the fairy tale archetype of the princess that, men are contending to win her hand, it's like she has no agency. It's like she has no choice over who wins her. Usually it's all up to the men who are fighting over her. But, you're encouraged to be that person who sets, again, the seeker who sets their sights on someone, right? You're encouraged to set your sights on what you want. Yeah, and it's interesting because I think I just read something about this goddess, but yeah, study the Greek goddess Artemis. Notice her nuanced relationship to the moon, the earth, and the feminine. The predator honors its prey with a precise and skillful hunt. The hunter deeply reveres the life it aims to take. So yeah, I mean, it's coming in touch with your feminine energy, your heart-centered energy, but also, integrating that masculine side of yourself that's going to have like a real sense of direction and purpose and ability to kind of take action in your own life. Yeah, so that's what I have for you, pile 4. Thanks so much for listening today. I hope this reading was helpful for you in some way, shape, or form. If you liked it, please feel free to click the like button or hit subscribe if you want to see more of my upcoming content. And yeah, I hope to see you at my next video.